So the Philadelphia Eagles defense gave up 34 points to the Arizona Cardinals, and there were a handful of plays that, to me, kind of show me that this Eagles defense is broken. There are issues across the board, rather it's being unable to defend the run consistently, broken coverages, scheme issues. There's just a lot of things right now that's wrong with this Eagles defense. And I do think that it can be fixed, and we'll talk about that in this video. But the very first play of the game was a 26-yard pass here by Kyler Murray. And to me, this one is just a broken coverage by cornerback Avonte Maddox. You're going to see 29 here on the right side of your screen. As the quarterback's in a play action the corner is going to get sucked into the inside. So what's going to end up happening is as he falls for the play action, what's going to end up happening is guys are going to get open in his coverage, right? Where he should ultimately have been within this play. You're going to get a 26-yard gain. And those plays like this that just continuously happen. Now, just to back this up really quickly, the defense at the moment are in a cover 3. The slot defender here has to play the curl flats. And on this play here, as the play action happens, you see him get out of coverage, he gets sucked in, and just like that, you're going to end up picking up 26 yards on the first play of the game. Now, I wanted to show you guys one more play here just to kind of get a basis and what I think is the overall issue with this defense at the moment. So one of the things the Eagles do a lot is they're going to play a cover 4 shell. And what that means is you're going to get a lot of guys outside of the box. And what that means on the inside is you just don't have enough guys to stop the run consistently. So on this one here, the Cardinals are going to pick up 6 yards. And the reason why they're able to pick up 6 yards is because you don't have the numbers. Now, playing a light box isn't the end of the world, right? Teams do it all the time and teams have success all the time. But on this one here, what ends up happening is as the defense is going to flow to the football here, the offense is going to end up pulling 2 guys. And when you shift gaps the way you do, when you pull guys, it makes it very hard for the defense to be able to fill those gaps, right? Because the gaps start to shift a little bit. So what ends up happening on this play is everything on the inside gets shut down, but the Cardinals are able to just run this all the way to the outside. And there's really no way to defend this when you play a light box, right? And the very next play is a good example of it. Is that when you play a light box, you need at least one guy to be able to kind of either beat his guy or try to take on multiple gaps. And then you need your linebackers to be able to kind of make up the other end of it. And this is a really good play to kind of show you guys what I mean. Did you guys keep an eye on Jordan Davis here? Watch as the play begins. Davis is going to initially get hooked by this center, but it's not a bad thing because what ends up happening is Davis does shed the block. So Jordan Davis gets off the block. Now I want you guys to think about this. Davis has the gap here. Leonard technically has the inside gap. Cox has the gap there. And Hassan Reddick has the gap to the outside. But what that means is there's a gap right between the offensive tackle and the tight end that is technically not covered. But because Davis is able to get off the block, he's going to actually chase this play from the backside. So the running back is not going to be able to actually hit this to the inside, even if he wanted to. And then you're going to see Darius Leonard here just kind of stay patient and flow over the top. And what ends up happening on this play is the play is only going to pick up about a yard because Leonard ends up blowing it up. Now, this is the benefit of playing a light box because what happens on this play is this is a 2nd and 5 situation. And for the defense, if you can make a play on 2nd and 5, showing a light box, the offense isn't going to try to throw the ball over the top, right? Because the numbers are going to favor the defense. So what ends up happening is if you run the football and as a defense, you can force the offense into a gain of maybe just 1 yard, the way they do on this play. Well, what ends up happening is now you got a favorable 3rd down situation. And again, as I stated, right, light box, you're going to keep 2 safeties deep. Although the offense here has 3 tight ends on the field and only 1 wide receiver, the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles defense is able to actually get the stop here is a massive win, right? So you play the light box, you limit the big plays, and then you get into a 3rd and 4 situation, right? 3rd and 4, if you're able to get off the field, it's a massive win for the Eagles. And this is kind of the approach that they take with their defensive philosophy. And a lot of coaches have done this, right? Vic Fangio is one of those guys that's done this so well, so often. Bill Belichick's done this as well, and it's worked for these guys. But it doesn't always work, and I'll give you guys a couple of examples of that here in a second. Now, similar to that first play where someone actually made a mistake, here's another example where someone's going to make a mistake. Keep in mind, you only got 1 safety deep. This is a cover 1 or cover 3 look, so the box is technically going to be stacked. The safety's down into the box. You got a bunch of guys across the line of scrimmage, and you're selling out to stop the run. Now, this is 1st and 10, and this is when you would sell out to possibly stop the run, right? If you're going to do that. But this play picked up almost 15 yards. And the issue happens when one player gets out of his run fit. Now, keep in mind, this is a zone run. This is not a power run, which we looked at a run here just a couple plays back. And a zone run's a little bit different than a power run. And the reason why is because on this one, if you guys keep an eye on the running back as he gets the football, look at how patient James Conner is on this one, right? He looks and reads and looks and reads, and eventually he ends up hitting it to the outside. Now, I'm going to stop this play about midpoint before James Conner actually makes this read. And you can kind of see it as well, right? Like you can see there's no gap that should theoretically hit. Every single one of these guys has the outside gap at the moment. And you can see that basically there's not a gap that the running back should be able to hit. But what's going to happen is the running back's going to hesitate to the inside a little bit before he jump cuts to the outside. And it's going to be Josh Sweat here who's going to make the mistake. So if you guys keep an eye on the running back and Sweat, watch what happens. The running back's going to fake to the inside and Sweat's going to fall for that fake. Obviously, for some reason, he doesn't trust his teammates to be in the run fits. And I think that's a massive mistake right there because Darius Leonard shot the gap. Right, if you guys look at 53, he's shooting the gap. He's going to make this play. Had number 94 stuck to the outside. Had number 94, keep in mind, his entire responsibility on this play is to contain the outside. Had he just made contact with the tight end as he does, he controls him. He sets himself up to the outside. Had he just stayed there, this is a loss of maybe 2 or 3 yards. And because of that fake to the inside by Conner, the defensive end ends up going to the inside and Conner hits it to the outside and almost 15 yards just like that. Let's get into the next snap. So you're going to get another 10-yard run right here by the offense. Once again, you're going to see that a player is basically going to get out of his gap. And on this one here, it's going to be linebacker Nicholas Morrow, who had he just stayed within his gap, the play here would have been made. But Nicholas Morrow gets out of his gap and you're going to see Conner does a great job with the cutback. And again, it's just fundamental football. You know, if guys are able to stay within their gap, this play here gets stopped. All right, everything kind of gets washed in perfectly. You're going to see the safety Kevin Byard do a great job coming downhill. As he's coming downhill here, this is a gain of maybe 3 or 4 yards. Had Nicholas Morrow taken the outside of this tight end. But what's going to end up happening is Conner's going to come down. As soon as Morrow jumps to the inside, he's going to jump cut it towards the outside. And once again, you can't have this. And I'm not blaming Nicholas Morrow for this one. Obviously, the safety is aligned like 10 yards off the ball. Once again, the defense is in a light box. It's 2nd and 7, so they're going to take their shot here to try to stop the run. And honestly, it would have worked once again had Nicholas Morrow just stayed in his run fit. But he didn't, and this one popped for 10 yards and the first down. You got a 17-yard run on this one. And once again, it just comes down to the fundamentals. Everybody plays their run fit. Even 39 Eli Ricks here plays this run fit, but he just doesn't make the tackle. It's all about just coming downhill and making the play when the play's right in front of you to be made. But you got to make this tackle here. Again, I know it's difficult to tackle out in space, but this is what you're getting paid for, right? So as a young cornerback, Eli Ricks has to be able to make the tackle there because that's the difference of about 3 or 4 yards, possibly being in a 3rd and short versus the offense basically picking up a first down. On this play here, the Eagles actually are in a good spot, right? Everybody's going to just kind of get washed downwards, and you're basically going to have the running back in a one-on-one here with the corner. And as a cornerback, you got to make the tackle. So again, this one went for about 16 to 17 yards. Let's get into the next snap. So you're going to play a light box once again. 2 safeties deep. You got the cornerbacks playing off coverage. You got a slot defender. So what that means is you got 6 offensive linemen against 6 defensive guys in the box. But when there's 6 offensive linemen, that means there's 7 run gaps. So this play here is going to pop for over 20 yards, 21 yards on this play right here. And to me, these are the moments right here that are ultimately hurting the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, these are the type of moments where the Eagles have to be able to step up and get it done. Got to step up and make the play. Now let's talk about this play here. As I stated, there's 7 run gaps at the moment. So there's 1 gap here, 2nd gap, 3rd gap, 4th gap, 5th gap, 6th gap, and the 7th gap. So the defensive guys just don't have enough guys to be able to contain that. You got a guy here, you got a guy here, you got a guy here, a guy here, a guy on the outside here, a linebacker here. And what the Eagles are relying on right now is for the safety to come downhill and fill one of these run fits. Now what's going to end up happening is, this run here is supposed to be a power run to the left. So when the left guard pulls here, it's going to draw the defense over to that same side. And generally speaking, you're okay. But what ends up happening on this play specifically is that number 93 and number 3, the outside linebacker, just aren't able to get off the blocks properly, right? Like Nolan Smith doesn't necessarily do anything wrong because he has outside containment, but number 93 basically pushes his guy so far backwards that he's not able to get off the block. Again, fundamentals, all right? Being able to get off the block and staying within your run fits is a small part of being able to play football and have success as a team. And right now, this is the big issue I'm seeing with the Eagles. Play in, play out. These guys are just making these small mistakes. Now, within this play, it would have worked out because the safety does come downhill. And as he comes downhill, as the left guard pulls, he would technically be in the run fit. It just happened to be that number 93 wasn't able to get off the block here. So Williams has to do a better job on this one. But again, this kind of just comes back to it. Is different guys on different plays is, partly the scheme because they're playing a light box. So I feel like guys are trying to overcompensate, and that's leading to them not being able to get there, right, and actually have success. Here's another one. This one went for 18 yards. Again, it's a very similar pattern of kind of what's happening. Now, in this one, it isn't necessarily a light box. The defense is actually going to have the safety step closer to the line of scrimmage. What's going to end up happening is you're going to get these guys that are going to basically get hooked off, and they're not going to be able to get over the top. I think Riddick's the guy that probably should have stayed furthest to the outside, because you'll see that Riddick and number 57 are going to end up in the same gaps. And again, you can't have that, right? Obviously, the tight end does motion out here, but one of these guys has to stay to the outside, right? Riddick ends up getting caught to the inside. Number 57 is going to flow, which, it's not a bad job flowing, but you're flowing into a gap where, Riddick's already in that same gap. So again, guys just aren't in their run fits. And at this point, is it that the players aren't good enough to be within their run fits? Is it that guys aren't, efficient or effective? I don't know, right? I really don't know exactly how the Philadelphia Eagles can fix it. But I do have one theory that I think could work. And they do it often, right? It's not like every single play just happens to be a big run. But what they need to do is they need to stack the box more. They need to make sure that they are defending the run before they are defending the pass. I'm not sure if the Eagles don't have enough defensive tackles, if they don't have enough linebackers that are healthy and that are available to play. Because the defensive line the Eagles have are not bad football players. But 4 guys aren't going to make up for the guys behind them, right? Of course, we've talked about Darius Leonard and the type of impact he has. I think he's a phenomenal football player. But I'm just not sure right now if these linebackers here are built to play 60, 70 snaps. And that too, having to fill multiple gaps, right? If you're playing the light box, it means the linebackers need to be able to fill multiple gaps. But if you bring the safety down, then that means every single player has a gap. And I think that could work better for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, of course, I do want to also wrap that up with showing you guys this play here. When you bring in more guys and when you show that cover 3 or cover 1 look, you're susceptible to giving up big plays in the pass game. And I think that's what you're going to have to really live with. You're either going to have to sell out to stop the run, or you're going to give up big chunk plays every so often, and then you'll give up chunk plays in the pass game. I think the Eagles are better off to sell out and to stop the run before they go to really shut the pass game down. And I think you're going to have to live with one strategy or the other because you can't do both things. You're going to give up big plays either way. But I do think that if you're able to consistently stop the run, you will be able to have more success against the pass because now you're not relying on your cornerback so much. You're stressing them out a little bit less because you are consistently able to stop the run. On this one, it's a cover 1 man-to-man defense. So this is all about just, is your cornerback good enough to beat the wide receiver across from you? Is your guy good enough to make sure the other guy doesn't catch the football? On this one here, you obviously see that the cornerback gets beat, but maybe the next time he doesn't. I know this video may not have been the be-all, end-all for the Philadelphia Eagles fans that are watching up to this point, but I do think that as the Eagles go forward, the season's not over. All right, I know the Eagles have lost a couple of games the last 5 weeks, They, at this point, will probably finish in the 5th seed. But again, the season's not over. The offense is still a phenomenal offense. If the defense can force a couple of turnovers, try to limit the explosive plays, I think they can still have success. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys next time with another video.